Okay, so this video is going to be the first of three for the viewport assembly. So the first thing I'm going to start with is the viewport base. So I'm going to go ahead and get into my Schoology account. You'll see on the calendar I have for Friday the viewport assembly to be started or hopefully finished today. So what we'll do is go here and highlight and left click on the viewport base. Now again, all these things will be loaded to my YouTube channel, so when I'm done or when you're done, go ahead and click on that and you'll see all these directions. I'm going to left click and download this. So now this is what we're looking at as the part we're about to create. So what I want to look at here is possible ways we can build this. Okay, some of you may be thinking, all right, let's draw one circle and extrude it this thickness here of 0.75, and then click on the top surface, let's say, create another circle and extrude it out another, let's say, 2 inches. Then come back, maybe on the bottom face, create one small circle and extrude it 0.0625 inches, and finish with maybe punching a hole through the middle. And then adding in our holes on the outside and finishing off with our hole wizard on the inside. I want to cut down the number of steps to do this. So I'm looking at this view here to the right, my section view. And what I'm going to do is create one half of this, just this one little area up top here, using the information on this part of the drawing. I'm going to create this silhouette, and I'm going to revolve it up around a line that will be right through the center origin. That way I can do this basically in one step, add my holes on the outside as step number 2, and then I'm going to do a pattern and hole wizard with the small holes on the inside. So I can basically do this in about 3 or 4 steps versus 7 or 8 the old traditional way. So with that said, what I'm going to do is go ahead and get into my SOLIDWORKS, click it open. I'm looking here and it looks like all this I see here is going to be looking, since there's no metric on here, I'm drawing this in inches. So I'm going to start in SOLIDWORKS, start with a file new, inch part, and say OK. Now in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start on the front plane, because according to the drawing, if you look again carefully at the drawing here, you will see that it is starting from a front plane. So in this case, it's starting from the front. Okay, so now going back into SOLIDWORKS, I've got my front plane highlighted, hit my word sketch, and start a new sketch. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with a simple center line, going from the origin, and it doesn't matter which way you go. I'm going to go to the right, and I'm going to make it horizontal. It does not matter on the length. All I need is a line that eventually I'm going to spin around or revolve. I'm going to hit escape to turn that line off. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw the silhouette on the upper side here. I'm going to focus on this upper half. So I'm going to look at this very carefully. I'm going to blow up on this, and I'm going to work on just creating this one piece here without the holes. So now looking at this, I'm going to go back into SOLIDWORKS and turn on my line tool and begin creating that silhouette. So I'm going to go to my line tool, and up here in space, okay, I'm going to look at this, and I'm going to basically make a small piece like so. I'm going to start here, kind of go up, in, up, over, down, up a little bit, back over, and close. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Smart Dimension tool and define this. Now you got to realize some of these corners have been chamfered. I will do the chamfering and filleting at the end. Okay, so everything's going to be really squared off until the very end. So at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start by making this little gap. Actually, I've got this backwards. I just realized this should be actually like this. Sorry. Now, this little gap right here, this line, I'm going to make it at 0.0625 and hit my check mark. Now, so you can see this, I'm going to come over here to my left and change it from 0.123 document to 0.1234. Excuse me. Now, this point here, down to this line, if I pull below that line, it becomes a diameter dimension. If it's above, it's a radius. Now, if I pull that down and look over here to my drawing, that's this hole right here. That distance across is going to be a diameter of 9.50. So I'm going to type in here is 9.5, enter. Now I'm not going to panic that that's way up there. Okay, what I'll do is I'll just move everything up with it so it all ends up panning out just fine in the end. Okay, so I'm just going to move everything up with a left click and drag. All right, now again, I'll take this and move it up so you can see. I'm going to focus on this upper end now. Okay, so I need to add a few more things. This thickness right here is going to be a 0.75. Okay, the distance from here to this bottom line will be 2.75. Okay, this distance, okay, so that's to there. This outside edge here to this line here, I pull below. Actually, I'll pull to this side. That one is going to be, looking at the drawing, okay, it's going to be this outside circle, which looks like it's going to be the 10-inch. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and add in 10-inch there. So I'm going to go ahead there and type in 10. Okay, so that line becomes defined. I'm going to hit this line here and do the same thing again. Hit this line here and pull to my left. That one is going to be the very outside circle. So I'm looking here, which will be 13. That's this outer edge right here. That will be the 13. So going back to SOLIDWORKS, I'm going to type in 13, enter. So now you're seeing it start to define itself. Now this inside right here, if I pull this way, well, that's going to be this inside hole right here. That's basically this edge right here. That is going to have a diameter of 8.0. So going back into here, I'm going to type in 8 and enter. And at this point, if you're looking at everything, I should see everything fully defined. So I'm just going to make a couple quick adjustments here so you can see this a little bit better. And at this point, I should be able to go ahead, go to my features, revolve boss base. I'm going to pick that center line in the middle. Okay, and at this point, I am looking at this. Oh, I did this on the wrong plane. That's all right. Okay, I'm going to fix that in just a second here. Check. I have to go back to my sketch here. I just realized I did it on the wrong plane. Excuse me. I'm going to go here, and I am going to do edit sketch plane. I really should have done this on the right plane, not the front plane. So what I'm going to do is go to edit sketch plane. So again, all I do is I come here to the sketch, left click one time. Right next to edit sketch is edit sketch plane. Instead of front plane, I'm going to drop the arrow down and choose the right plane and hit my check mark, and now it reorients that original sketch over to the right plane. Now I am looking correct, because looking at this, here is my front view. So if you've made that mistake like I have, it's okay. We can fix it. Now what I want to do from here is I want to add in these holes, these larger holes right here. Okay, so I'm going to look at the note. Now this is unique. Okay, so we're going to start with a hole wizard. All right, both of these are going to be hole wizards. So I'm going to start with the first one. There are going to be 12 of these. And it's going to be a 0.641 through all, but it's going to also have what's called a near side countersink and a far side countersink. Now, where those are located are at the very bottom box of our hole wizard. That's the one I always tell you, make sure, usually keep it empty. For this one, we're going to turn it on and add these key elements. So going into SOLIDWORKS, I'm going to go to my features, go to my hole wizard, and all this is going to be is just a straight hole. That's all it is. It's going to be a third one. Now, I know we haven't really worked with it. We've been working with counterbore, countersink, and tapped, but we're just going to go to the simple hole right here. I'm going to go ahead and reset my custom sizing, change my units to ANSI inch, since we are creating the part in inch. Okay, these are going to basically be just tap holes or tap drills. I'm going to call it, I'll just call it, I'll just go tap drills. Okay, but I want this to be an ANSI inch, not ANSI metric. Now, this one, honestly, a 0.641, I kind of play around with that. It's way too small. It's going to be bigger than a ½ inch, so I just got to keep working my way up. I believe it will be, it's not a 3564, it's going to be, in this case, a 3764, nope. It's not 5/8. Is it 39? What's my number supposed to be? 641. That's close. 5/8 is 41. Okay, so it's supposed to be a 41/64. Okay, I could also show it in decimal values, and that probably be a good button to click on. So 64063 rounds to 0.641. So we're using a 41/64. Okay, these are going to be through all, but this is the key part. The near side countersink and the far side countersink. We need to turn these two on. And what I want you to do is highlight that first box and make it 0.7. The second box where it says 0 degrees, make that 82. Go to the far side countersink again, making sure that button is on. 0.7, enter. And the angle for that will be 82, enter. Now once you have those numbers in there, go to Positions tab, and we are going to place our first hole out here right above this. Now I'm going to hit Escape right now, and I'm actually going to come into my Sketch tool, and I'm going to draw a circle that I'm going to make for construction. And the reason I'm adding that is because I need to add 11.5-inch diameter to that so that the circle that is placed on there. So if you're looking here, I'm going to place this circle, because this is the circle I'm working with. I'm going to dimension this circle I just created 11.5 inches so that these circles will pattern in the right area. So going back to SOLIDWORKS, I'm going to go ahead and try my Smart Dimension, add 11.5, enter, and then I'm just going to make sure that this point is vertical to this origin. So I'm going to add a relationship. And what you're going to see is it should now show this as fully defined, and I see that down here in the right-hand corner. Now I can also still pattern this. I can pattern this through here. Actually, I don't think I can, or maybe I can. Let me just try that. Oops, I only did 4. That was my mistake. So we Control Z that. Okay. I'm actually going to do it from a feature pattern. I think it's a lot easier to do a feature pattern. So what I'm going to do is from this point, I'm going to go up to my feature toolbar, and I'm going to go to where it says linear pattern. I'm going to drop this down to a circular pattern. Okay, now to make this work, I have to pick an axis. Okay, now this is where, again, if you look, I don't have an axis to spin around. So I'm going to come up here to the magic eye right here above my part, drop this down, and turn on my temporary axes. It's the one right here, second row, or second column, second box. Okay, when I turn that on, here is that axis I need to spin around. So I'm going to highlight this box to the left, click on that axis right there. So that's what this is going to spin around. And I need officially 12 of these. So I'm going to say equal spacing, 360 degrees, 12 in total. Features to, excuse me, the features I want to pattern, I'm just going to go ahead, I can drop this down, or I can just click on this circle. But I'm going to go ahead right here, drop my flyout menu down, and left click right here. What you should now see is a silhouette of 12 total circles now patterned, equally spaced over 360 degrees. Hit your check mark, and now that hole is done. I'm going to go ahead and turn this box off, and I'm going to go to isometric. Okay, now I'm going to leave this temporary axis on because I'm going to pattern the same thing. I'm going to go ahead and create now one hole here, then I'm going to pattern it 24 times. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get one hole created. Now again, we're doing the same thing. We're going to be thinking about the near side countersink on this one. All right, so what we'll do is we'll go through and do 24 of these. These are basically screw thread, UNC, okay, thread length. All right, so we're looking at a 1/4 Okay, that's going to be the key. So what I'm going to do is go back to SOLIDWORKS. I'm going to go ahead and highlight this front face, spacebar normal to, and I'm going to go to my feature toolbar and turn on my hole wizard. Now this is going to be a tapped hole. Okay, it is a screw thread. So I'm going to go straight tapped, ANSI inch, bottoming tapped hole. But again, if you look at the note we have here, the note's telling me that this is a quarter dash 20. So if I come back into SOLIDWORKS and drop down my sizes, I'm going to look for a quarter dash 20. But I'm also going to show my custom sizing. Okay, now the note says it's a 0.201. So if I look at this again, there's the 0.201. Okay, but now what I want to do is tell it that the hole depth will be 0.75 and the thread depth will be 0.5, and then we'll have to add a near side countersink. So going back to SOLIDWORKS, it's not going to be through all. We're going to drop this to blind. We're going to change this hole depth right here. This is the overall depth of the hole. We're going to put 0.75 there. The thread length, which is the second box, will be 0.5. And then we are going to apply a near side countersink. Now, if your box is not checked on, we need to check that on. And we need to change that number to 0.3 at an angle of 82 degrees. So going back into SOLIDWORKS here, I'm going to change this to 0.3 at 82 degrees. Now, I've done this before, so it's already showing that part there. Okay, if not, you will have to highlight and type your numbers in. Now, once you have these numbers, Positions tab, go ahead and click on this face, and I'm going to drop one right about there. I'm going to go back and check the type again. Okay, my hole got changed. Why? I don't know. I must have clicked on something. Sorry. Okay. Quarter 27.5, and it should be 0.3 and 82. Don't know why that changed. Positions tab. Now, again, same thing as before. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and sketch a quick line on here, a circle on here, attach it to that center, and make it for construction. I'm going to dimension that circle. Now, again, looking at this drawing, I'm putting this circle right here on this 9.25 circle. So going back into SOLIDWORKS, dimension, I'm going to make this 9.25. Okay, now from here, I just got to add a vertical relationship between that center and this origin and hit my check mark. Okay, I'm going to close this out, and there is my hole. Okay, now at this point, what I'm going to do is the same thing I did before. I'm going to pattern this using a feature pattern. So I'm going to go Features, drop it down to Circular. In the first box, I'm going to make sure my temporary axis is on, and I'm going to click the one right in the middle. I'm going to tell the computer I want equal spacing over 360 degrees, and I want 24 of these holes. And I'm going to basically pattern. I can do it either one of two ways. I can drop the flyout and highlight, or I can also just click on the hole. Nope, not yet. Hold on. I can click on the hole. Okay, so quarter tapped hole 24 times. I can do a full preview so you can see this. And check. For some reason, that did not work. Hold on here. What happened to my pattern? Oh, wait. Axis. Oh, I picked the axis got changed. Sorry, axis 2. There we go. Somehow I picked the axis inside the hole. That's what happened. Sorry. So now I got this pattern there. That looks good. Okay, check mark. So now I'm looking at this, and I basically have all my holes. All I need to do is chamfer the edges. So first thing I'm going to do is go to my eye and turn off the temporary axes. Okay, I'm going to go back to my drawing and take a quick look at what I got to get done. So I have all my holes here on the outside. I've got everything I need to. The only thing left to do is I have to go in here and I have to chamfer all these edges. Okay, it looks like I have to chamfer this bottom, this corner inside and outside the hole, inside out here. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spots I have to chamfer. The chamfer will be 0.050 at 45 degrees. So going into this, I will go to my feature toolbar, drop fillet to chamfer, type in 0.05 by 45 degrees, and I will begin clicking on these corners, starting at this bottom one here. That's 1. Here's number 2, number 3. Let me see, 3. I got to do the inside the hole is 4. Inside this hole is 5, and then number 6 is on top. Hit my check mark, and now I have all my chamfers in place. Okay, to help you see this a little bit better, I'm going to go ahead and color my chamfers in. Now, one thing I've not done is I have not added my material. Big no-no. I should have done that right away in the beginning. So where's this balsa right here? I'm going to right-click and edit. The AISI 304 stainless is just AISI 304 steel, right here in the middle. Apply and close. Okay, so at this point, what I'll do so you can see the chamfers a little bit better, I'm going to go ahead and left-click on my chamfer, hit the beach ball, click on the word chamfer, and I'm just going to change them to a simple dark red. So now when you look at it, this is what you see. And at this point, this part is done. So I want to do a control save. I'm going to go ahead and save this. I'm going to save this as viewport base _ my last name. And hit save. I'm going to go ahead at this point, go to evaluate, and hit my mass properties. Now, we are doing pounds here, so this is a pretty hefty piece of steel. The total volume or mass I have here is 33.52 pounds of steel. So go ahead and print this, go to the printer, grab it, and bring this back to your desk. Close out your mass properties, and now what we're going to do is we are going to go ahead and create this drawing quickly. We're going to go ahead and get this done and submit it in with your mass property stapled to the back. Now this is done on a GHSA inch, and all I need is a front view and one section view. Okay, then we'll throw our dimensions on, and then we're going to print and turn this in. So going into SOLIDWORKS, I'm going to do a file new, a GHSA inch, say OK. I'm going to double click my viewport base, and starting with a front view, looking at the scale on this, it looks like the scale according to this is 1:3. Hidden lines are on with a preview. My scale instead of 1:4 will be use custom scale. I'm going to do a user defined, which is 1, 2, 3. As soon as I've got that, I'm going to take and put this to the left click, and hit my check mark. I'm going to highlight this tapped whole thing and delete it off. Now, under view layout, I'm going to go to section view. I'm going to do a vertical section that attaches to the center of the circle. I'm going to left click and hit my green check mark and pull to my right. Now again, this should be letter A. If it's not, highlight this and change it to the capital letter A. I'm also going to come over here, and everywhere I see some of these tapped hole things, I just want to make sure I delete them off. You're also going to notice I got rid of all these little extra lines here on these two, but kept the one in the middle. Okay, and that's the one I want to keep is right here. So I'm just going to pull out a little bit. That looks good, and call it good. Okay, so now what I want to do is start throwing on my dimensions. So I'm going to go ahead and turn on my Smart Dimension tool, and I'm just going to kind of work them in the same place. I'm going to start with this outside. Make an adjustment, hit this line right here. I don't know why it's giving me a radius. I'm going to have to right click on this and say display as diameter. Okay. Click on the middle line in here. That's my 10. Pick on this inside dash line right here. That's 4.625. I'm going to come out here and then right click and say display as diameter. And then I'm going to finish by clicking on the inside edge of this circle right here for a diameter, if I can get it to work, of 8. And then just adjust it down. So there are my first 4 dimensions right there. Okay, so that takes care of your front view almost. Okay, the next thing I gotta do is add in some notes. So I'm gonna do a whole call out. And I'm gonna pick on this note right down here in this corner. And I'm just gonna left click on it and drop this below. Now, if you do that, since we use our whole wizard, it should drop the note in exactly the way we need it. So at this point, I'm done with that note. I'm going to pull this down a little bit more. That looks good, and call it good. Okay. All right, so that one's done. I'm going to go to my whole call out again, but this time I'm going to go to this side, click on this one, and get the same thing. Okay, so that whole call out tool is a nifty little tool because it really does help get everything kind of in order. I'm just going to kind of adjust this to give myself a little bit more space here so I can get my dimensions to kind of look nice and neat in place. Okay, so this front view is now done. So now what I'm going to do is now focus in on this section view. Turn on my smart dimension. I'm going to click this little tiny line right here by blowing up on it. I get a 0.063. I'm going to go here to my left where it says 0.123 and make it 0.1234. I'm going to click on this top line here to this one here. I get a 0.75. Pull that to my right. From this top, from that line there to this line here, I get 2.75. And then what I'm going to do is click on this inside line to this, oops, delete that, from the inside line down here to this line here, and I get my, oops, excuse me, that's not what I want it. I want to get it from this point here to this point here. I get diameter 9.5. As you can see, I'm a little squished, so I'll go ahead and just do a little bit more adjusting. Slide that a little bit more to the left. Bring this over here a little bit more so I have space to work with. My section A will stay right there. And then I'm going to finish off with a note tool. Okay, so now what I need to do is add in my chamfers. Okay, and I'm going to do this using my note. So I'm going to start with this upper one right here. I'm going to pull out here to my left. I'm going to hold my control key, and I'm now going to go ahead and start pulling arrows to the other lines. So I'm going to do one right here, left click. One down here, I'm still holding my control key. One right here. One right here. And last click right here. I let go of my control key and left click. Now, while I'm waiting, I'm going to come over here to the left, third row under leader, middle box. I'm going to do that bent leader. And I'm going to type in the following inside the box: 6 space X 0.050 space X 45, and then I'm going to come over here to the left where the CL plus is and add a degree symbol. Space chamfer. As soon as you're done, hit your green check mark because that note is now complete. Again, I'll probably move it a little bit more to the right to give myself a little more space. And if you have to, as you notice here, suddenly one of my arrows is not in the right spot. Okay, if that's the case, and I'm going to put this more like this, all I have to do is just grab this arrowhead, left click and hold, and drag it to its spot. Okay, so at this point, I got another one here. I'm going to grab that and drag it to this spot right there. Okay, so everything looks good. If you want to adjust any others, you can. I'm going to pull this one about right there. Looks good. I think that's good enough for me. Okay, so that note is now done. So now all I have to do is add in my title. So going over to the drawing, I'm just going to highlight this right here. Control copy. Come back into SOLIDWORKS. Turn on my note tool, drop it below the letter A here, and do a Control V. Now I'm going to highlight this and make sure that my font size is 12, that the top line is bold and underlined. I'm going to come in here, double click this, and type in my mass of 33.52 pounds. Adjust it, and now at this point, the drawing itself is done. The only thing I have to do is come in here and start changing up the title block. So I'm going to double click the sheet 1 and change it to 2. Of 1 is going to change to 3. Come here to the title. Where's the SOLIDWORKS drawing? I'm going to double click and change that to viewport base. Go ahead and put your first initial last name right here. And then I'm going to finish off with the date, which will be 02/20/20. Yep, lots of 2's. Change your period number here, and then the scale for this one will be 1 to 3. And at this point, this part in drawing is done. Make any fine adjustments you need to, and as soon as you've got this finished, go ahead and do a file save. Name it viewport base underscore your last name. Make sure it says SLD_DRW for drawing, and hit save. At this point, you can go ahead and print. Grab it from the printer. Take your mass property sheet and staple it to the back, and then go place this in the grade collection box. And at that point, you are done with the first page or the first part of the viewport assembly. Use this video to your advantage. Rewind it, pause it, whatever you have to do to get this part done. I will now continue on in a moment to the next part, which will be the acrylic window. Good luck. That's all you got.